Good morning. This is Wednesday, September the 1st, 2021. It's an overcast, windy day so far, and they're forecasting thunderstorms all day today. Nothing compared to the suffering of those who are in Louisiana and perhaps some other parts of the state due to the recent hurricane and storms that have dumped so much water and disrupted life in ways we can't imagine unless we've experienced it at some point in our lives. I've gone through hurricanes and I know what that's like, and as an adult and as a child, and yet I've never suffered some of the things that other people have. So we want to be prayerful, also financially support the efforts that will make people's lives a little better. I guess if you notice that the storms, it doesn't really matter what religion you are, doesn't really matter what political parties, and doesn't matter whether you are vaccinated or unvaccinated, whether you have COVID or not. When the storms come, they come. I heard somewhere in the text where in the Bible it said God causes his rain to fall on the wicked and the righteous and the unrighteous. Storms come, rains happen, and it makes no difference who you are and what your status. In this world, storms happen. Whether they are the earthquakes that shake our foundation, those are the deaths of our loved ones that come unexpectedly. Perhaps it's that person who has committed their lives to you and walk out on you, and it may be even as the pastor of a church or religious leader where your congregation all of a sudden reveals that you're not the person for them, no matter what. And it comes in so many different ways. People are losing their jobs, they're losing their income, and having been on a job a long time, and someone says that, this is the severance package, and in some situations there is no severance package. Those are the earthquakes. Those are the things that come that are not predictable, and they shake our foundations. And other storms are the ones that we can be prepared for if we decide. So when someone tells you there's a hurricane, and it really depends on what your experience has been in addressing storms. Some people will lose their lives. Some people will stay and cause other people to lose their lives by calling 911 and others to get them out of the things they could have avoided had they taken heed and taken warning. And sometimes it's innocence, and other times it's out of just true arrogance that you would decide that a Category 4 hurricane is coming, but you're going to ride it out and get other people into trouble, and then begin to call and ask to be rescued at the cost and peril of other people's lives. And we're like that, aren't we? We get into deep trouble because God has told us what to do, how to prepare for the storms in our lives, but we decide that it doesn't matter what God has to say. It doesn't matter what the Bible says. We're going to do what we want to do, the way we want to. And then we're calling on somebody to help us out. And there are a few people who are prepared to help us, but for the most part, the other people are dealing with their own issues. And then we feel like the church is hurting us or has abandoned us or let us down when we were there all the time, and you were warned and you were taught or attempted to be taught. And when the trouble came, you weren't prepared because you decided you're going to handle it your way. But that happens in life, does it not? That doesn't mean that you don't matter. It just means that sometimes you're going to have to weather a storm and the consequences that you allowed it to happen. And no one else is prepared to rescue you. We can make your life better by praying for you, making ourselves available. We can't undo your storms. Cannot do that. And so we want to encourage you today that during this season of storms, the earthquakes you can't prepare for, If you're in Japan and some of the other countries, they have structures that they build and stuff to prepare for that. But overall, they are earthquake prone, so they should be. But the rest of us are not. And there are things in our lives you simply just can't prepare for, no matter what you do. The tsunamis and other earthquakes still devastate and kill a lot of people in prone places like Japan. But we can prepare today for any storm or any earthquake. We simply have to decide that God is actually God, that we are not God, that we are human beings on a journey in the world that God created. So many of our storms are brought on just by simply our rebellion, our disobedience, our indifference, our lack of love for other people, our unwillingness to forgive, and the willingness to even have issues to actually need to forgive. Imagine if you did not have unrealistic expectations imposed on other people, what would be there to forgive? I know I've had to learn that lesson, that much of my heartache has come from expecting others or imposing my expectation, even biblical expectations on others. My role is to do the best I can to teach who's available, but not to live it for them or impose that. And it's been a painful lesson, but I've learned it. I've learned it. And I've learned it without becoming indifferent, okay? You have your storm, forget you if you don't prepare. Your life does matter. And I also have had to learn and understand that there are other people on the journey. Some of the lessons I've learned, they have not. Some lessons I've learned, maybe they won't. And maybe lessons they've learned, I won't. But we're in this together. And I just know that being in this together, the storms don't care about you one way or the other. They just do what they do. And imagine yourself as a family, as an individual, as a church and colleagues, if you had more of an us mindset, the way that God has it, if you were forgiving, and if you were not always adding other things that need to be forgiven, and actually lived your life in accordance to the storms and the needs that you have. I hope and pray that this day that you remember that God causes his rain to fall on the righteous and the unrighteous. And when those storms of life come, and when the storms come, they're going to impact you. You're going to be as rained on as anybody else. You'll be as wet, the wind, the heat, the misery, and all that has taken place will be yours just like the rest of us. So go ahead and live. If you have the opportunity today, Leanne Womack wrote a song that's been covered by others, Dance. And it says, you know, if you get a chance today, out of all the other stuff you've got to deal with, you got a chance to dance. But I want you to pray first and then dance and go ahead and live. And if somebody just won't forgive you, it's all right. That's about them. Yeah, it'll be painful. Yeah, your heart will be broken and all of that, but only for a moment. That's how people are. And that's how it's always going to be. But you go ahead and dance anyway. Go ahead and live your life. Look, this is September the 1st, 2021. This day is not returning. Go ahead and live.